5 points in the darkness make a different kind of show. They say we're better together, but what do they know when the stars align differently down here below? And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. Remember all the stories that your granddad told about a republic that wouldn't be controlled. Now the suits in the city say we've all been sold, but there's a fire burning that just won't get old. And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. They draw their lines on paper, we draw ours in the sand. Some dreams are getting closer, while some don't understand. Don't understand. The highways stretch forever toward a setting sun, where cattle graze on memories of battles won. They say unity's the answer, but maybe we're done with playing by the rules of the chosen ones. Oh, maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. Maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. Our own sky. Our own sky.
Well, good evening. It's been a minute, right? Just a little bit. I need lots of that. I've needed lots of it for a very long time, and I am consuming as much as I can get down my gullet. Well, it's good to be with you guys again. There has been a lot that has happened since we were together, and well, I know that you guys want to talk about that tonight. So, without further ado, let's get started. Get a little business out of the way. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist movement, and this is Late Night Coffee Talk. This is that time where I take a break from working on independence to come in here, fire up the camera, and take your questions. And, they could be whatever. They could be T&M related. They could be Texas related. Texas politics, current events, culture, whatever it is. If it's in our wheelhouse, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Look, I'm accessible. If nothing else, I am accessible at least on a regular schedule. So that being said, if you would like to ask some questions, the usual when we're together, right? You can, wherever you're watching this, you can drop the question in chat. It shows up over, well, technically it's over here for me. Yeah, like over there. And Kara's in there running triage on the questions, grabbing them, making them to where I could see it, because oftentimes the chat scrolls like a slot machine. And I answer your questions. I'm not going to go through all of the various ways that you can send me questions. Well, except I will mention that you can email them to coffeetalk@thetnm.org. And I'll get them. They actually show up over here on this other thing that I have to look at and check back and forth on. That is, unless you are participating in what I would call the launch of probably the single greatest tool that we have ever had at our disposal to help us achieve Texas independence, and that's on the Texian app. Because one of the cool things about it is we can live stream to it, and I know there's going to be an awful lot of conversation about the Texian app tonight. I gotta first and foremost thank everyone for your patience in my absence these past few weeks. Let me explain. So obviously, as we were getting close to the election, I had to handle, there was client things that I had to contend with. But more than that, there was a stretch in there for about 2 weeks where I guess I got the flu. I was sick. I did not leave the house for literally 2 weeks. It laid me pretty low. And so while some of it could be scheduling problems since we were last together, the vast majority of that time that we have been apart was caused by an illness. And so I am much better now, out and about, working back at, 95%, right? I mean, that's kind of, at this stage of the game, 95% may be my peak, right? So 95%, I am all at it, okay? This is helping. I'm not going to lie. And so during that time that we have been apart, aside from taking care of clients and working on all things Texas independence, this project that many of you saw probably for the first time today was all consuming. It sucked up every bit of our intervening time, right? All that alleged free time that I have, right? Supposedly have. Anyway, look, enough beating around the bush. Let's get down to it. Of course, what I'm talking about, for those of you that are not on the Texian app watching, this is what I'm talking about, right? The Texian app, texian.app. Now, I think I spelled it out pretty clearly. If you were on our email list or were previously on TNM social, you got this message, and it was pretty lengthy. Some of you probably did not read it all the way to the end. But that being said, I'm going to talk a lot about this tonight because I think it's important for everyone to understand. Now, granted, yes, I'm still going to answer your questions because you have sent them in. And of course, we can unpack the elections. I've got some things I want to talk about related to that too. But this is a big daddy, right? This is I'm going to tell you something that would have, under normal circumstances, taken us about a year to get implemented, right? We were able to condense that down into about as many weeks, not even as many weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, might as well just say 4 weeks, right? Um, to get this thing done. And it is, again, and this may sound hyperbolic to some of you, but it is probably the single greatest um, advancement that we have been able to make in building the infrastructure to help us achieve Texas independence. And I know that's going to sound unusual to some of you people. Like, how could an app do that, right? How is it that this software thing can do whatever you're talking about? And I can understand a little bit of that skepticism, but if some of you will go back and perhaps remember the seminars, the teaching that we've done, the training we've done around the Texas blueprint, right? And that stage one is building capacity. Okay. And when you build capacity, you are building the capacity to first leverage that capacity to essentially get a piece of legislation passed that will put the question of Texas independence on a ballot, to put it to a referendum of the people. So you have to organize to make that happen. But once you get it on the ballot, you have to take that and scale that up to be able to get voters to the polls to vote for independence. And if anyone out there thinks for a moment that this thing just falls out of the sky into your lap, I've got quite a few candidates that were on the ballot on March 3rd who will explain the reality to you, that these things don't just fall out of the sky. They don't just happen. Okay. So, one of the things that has been very, very clear to us for many, 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 many years is that for us to essentially achieve, to organize, to do the things necessary to build that political support, to build that capacity, for us to achieve that, there were going to need to be tools available to us, and not just any kind of tools, right? You see that the T&M faces really, I guess you would say, not an uphill climb, but we have an inordinately large number of obstacles between us and getting things done for independence. Obstacles that a lot of other political movements or organizations or candidates, things that they don't have to contend with. Okay. And let's just kind of run down some of the history. Not to go too long on this, but I want you to understand that when we were suppressed, and I know there's some people out there that claim that they are, that really aren't, right? But when we were literally suppressed by Facebook, right, the number one social media platform by adoption, that we were able to conclusively prove to the point that we filed a lawsuit against them under a law that was passed here in Texas, right? We were unable for a crucial amount of time to get our message to our people on that platform. Let's talk about when Newsweek published the story about how we were being suppressed and throttled, and emails were ending up in spam boxes. And we pointed out that we were being targeted. We were ridiculed. We were told that, that it was baloney, that we were blowing it up. And then you had the Republican Party, if you want, I guess the RNC and some of their functionaries literally go to court saying the exact same thing was happening to them. Of course, we didn't get any apologies for that, right? Everybody who said we were full of crap still, they don't want to talk. They don't want to give us credit when we're ahead of the curve. Let's talk about when we were utilizing to communicate with our people, which is very expensive, by the way, when we were using peer-to-peer texting, right, and phone banking through a platform called Call Hub, Remember when they jerked the rug out from under us because they decided they were only going to do business with Democrats and Democrat aligned candidates. And they canned us. And it came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, there was a tool there that we could have used that there is not an equivalent for over on sort of our side of the spectrum, off the table, unusable to us, inaccessible, which means the enemy has a weapon, the opponent has a weapon that we are not allowed to have. Let's talk about how, when Elon Musk allegedly took over Twitter and it became X and suddenly it was this free speech space. Think about, I think about all the time how many messages that I get and how many emails from people saying, I post about anything else, it blows up. I post about Texit, even though I know that, a bunch of my followers are fans of Texit, it gets no traction whatsoever. None. Nobody sees it. And I know this because if I make a post on X, I have to go tell Kara about it and send her a link because she can't find it. Right? So you think about all of these various obstacles and I mean, that's just scratching the surface, right? Just scratching the surface. I have said time and time again that the biggest challenge that we have to overcome to explode our momentum has been the ability to communicate with our people. And over the years, we've tried various things to do that. We launched T&M Social for that purpose. But unfortunately for us, it just wasn't the platform that we could build what we needed on. All of these various tools and communication methods and all of these sorts of things. I mean, we just couldn't. And that kind of actually brings me to where we are here tonight. Some of you that are watching us on YouTube, you might have otherwise not seen this except for the email that we sent out earlier today. Because many of you have said, when you live stream on YouTube, when you live stream on X, you live stream on Facebook, you have subscribed to the notifications and they never notify you. Our videos don't even show up. And it's not just us, right? It's not just us. I'm not claiming that we're being singled out. I'm just saying that for us to achieve what we need to achieve, all of those communication mediums are inadequate for the task at hand. And even when we tried with T&M Social, God love it, right? It was difficult. It was slow. It never worked right? But at least it was ours. And I know many of you out there expressed your frustrations and never used it again, whatever, that's fine. Because as of today, T&M Social is dead, done, gone. And it's been replaced by what is effectively the single greatest tool that we have ever had at our disposal. Because when there's nothing off the shelf that you can get that fits your purpose or that you can afford, then sometimes you got to make things your own. And that is essentially what we have done. The Texian app is our all-in-one application, whatever you want to call it. It's a system, it's an infrastructure, whatever you want to call it, that is purpose-built for us to achieve Texas independence. So many of you have said you want to connect with others in your county, in your neighborhood, just other pro-independence Texans, and be able to build those relationships, at least online. Check. Texian does that. You want to be able to have the tools at your disposal to talk to other people about independence. Check. It does it. You want to be able to watch our videos and see our live streams and know when they're happening and not worry about the rug being jerked out from under us and all that stuff being gone in the blink of an eye. Check. It does that. You want to be able to track your interactions with other Texans as you bring them down the path to supporting Texas independence. Check. It does that. You want a better membership platform so you can become a member of the T&M. Check. It does that. It's easier than it's ever been. You wanted speed. You wanted simplicity. You wanted tools. You wanted shareable graphics. You wanted to participate in campaigns. You wanted, many of you don't even realize yet that the relational organizing capabilities that this has, where you can connect not just with other supporters, but also with voters as we launch campaigns, for you to be able to connect with people in your own sphere that we've identified as Texan supporters or potential Texan supporters, and you can have that conversation with your friend or your coworker that your family member, neighbor that you may not have even realized believe like you do. We've made that possible. And I'm going to tell you, I've talked about this on a previous coffee talk. We know that Greg Abbott is pumping like $2 million into the RPT, Republican Party of Texas, their state convention. We know that. And the quid pro quo is that they are going to carve out like 15 or 20 minutes at each SD convention for somebody from his campaign to come in and introduce the Abbott Impact mobile app that they have that does really a fraction of what we do. He has a little bit of relational organizing. He has peer-to-peer. He has phone banking. Guess what? We're going to have all those before the end of the year. We already have relational organizing. Sure, but I mean, he's got a feed of his social media. Whoop-de-doo, right? Making it about him. Let's make it about Texas independence, right? So that's what we did here. Thank you for throwing that on the screen. That makes me happy. For those of you who want to know where to go, it's right there. You go to texian.app. Good news, if you were already on TNM Social, your account is on the Texian app. All you have to do is reset your password, right? That's it. If you did not, then you just start a new account. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to tell you, I know it's simple because people have been doing it all day long. Since the email went out, the signups have been insane. So I'm just going to encourage you to go do that, right? I mean, I didn't even mention the fact that everybody with your county and your House district and your Senate district, you're all grouped together. Think about what a tool like this does. Think about your experience over this last campaign cycle, right? Through this last primaries, and think about where we're headed into the general. And you want to communicate with and organize with people in your county, in your House district, in your Senate district. You're all there together. You can do that very thing. Events, it's all done. Check. We threw everything at this. And it is the tool that now you don't have to go to 42 different websites to be able to express your support or to be able to share your support for a self-governing independent nation of Texas. It is. I'm stunned. I'm literally stunned. And granted, and I said this in the email, and I'm going to say it again. Look, this version of the app has a 0 at the end. It's 3.00, and the reason it's version 3 is because we're treating this as an upgrade to TNM Social, and we're doing that for the purpose of being able to get the mobile apps out faster. And I know that seems slow. You're going to find bugs. We're going to find them. Something this robust, you're going to have those sorts of things, and that's okay. I've spent the majority of my day working to get all of these things cleaned up, right? We've got developers that help us work with this, but yours truly has been up to his elbows in this thing and literally stomping bugs like crazy. But as far as a launch day goes, it's been pretty doggone incredible. Your support, your participation in this has been enormously helpful. Right. And it makes me feel good to watch many of you go over there and record your Texian declarations, which is something brand new. And we're going to have a whole other conversation about that. That won't be tonight. But, watching you guys latch on and for those of you who truly grasp the tool that you have in your hand, I had a concerned email from someone earlier today who was concerned that we were essentially just creating a social network that was going to turn into a secession echo chamber. And my thought and my response, and I'm not going to call out the person specifically because we came to an understanding, right? There was a little bit of misunderstanding on his part what we were doing, is that this is Campaign Central for us. This is the headquarters for getting things done. I mean, I didn't even cover the tools that we have for local leadership and how easy it's going to be for you to go RSVP to an event, get reminders for that event, show up to the event with the mobile app, and it automatically check you in because it knows that you're at the event, right? I mean, just cool stuff like that. All these communication tools, you're going to be hearing more from your local leadership. If you want to help organize in your county, it's going to be easier than ever to make that happen as well. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to encourage all of you to tuck into it, understand it, and then use the heck out of it. Just absolutely. Look, when you find the share cards, some of you are going to be digging right now. When you find them, you're going to be blowing up everybody's text messages with them. You're just going to. Your emails. I mean, you're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. But when you find it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And there's more to come. In my email, I highlighted some of the features that were on the horizon, some of the tools we're going to give you guys. But this is a campaign suite like no other organization has. I can't. And look, I looked. For a long time, we researched what other massive organizations and campaigns were using, and none of them have this. They were using all these roll your own options, trying to do it off the shelf and everything else. And, it's just, it just didn't exist. So we built it. You built it. And I'm going to tell you, it's actually going to save the organization thousands of dollars a year. Thousands. You guys just don't even know yet how big this is. Will it help us move the needle? Absolutely. When we add legislative tracking and all the legislators in there, and then, I mean, there's so much that we can do now that we couldn't do 48 hours ago. We just couldn't do it. And now we have the tools at our disposal to make it happen. So thank you all for jumping in and participating. I've got to get to some questions because I've been on about this for about 25 minutes. But look, take my word for it. Go to texian.app, and get it done. And one of the questions I already know before I even switch over here is going to be, what about the mobile apps? There is an early version mobile app in the Apple App Store right now that you can download. There's already an update to that one in the queue, waiting for Apple to get off of their dead asses and get it pushed through. And while I say that they're being slow, the fact of the matter is that Google's being even slower. And so for you Android users, understand there is one in the queue waiting to go. And I think we're going to be cleared to submit it at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So after that, however long it takes, it's just kind of the way that they work. These guys are painfully slow. But you will be able to have both of that. The mobile apps are ready. They're ready to deploy. And so if you have an iPhone, you could go download the early version. You may have some bugs in it, but understand there's already an update behind that one ready to go as well. So enjoy. You guys, share cards on the mobile phone are pure fire. I have enjoyed them all day long. So there's that. All right. Let's do this. Let's get to some questions. Let's go take a look over here. Oh, yes, there are plenty. Okay, this is from Alec. Hey, thank you for the super chat. He says, what should our position on the U.S.-Iran war be? Our position is Texas should be a self-governing independent nation. That's our position. But thank you for the super chat. Okay. Let's see. Man, you guys are busy tonight. Chris Powell says, if anybody wants to know, thank you for the super chat, by the way. He says, if anybody wants to know what my handle is, it's the legend Chris Powell. Yes, congratulations, by the way, on winning your precinct chair race there in Harris County, Chris. Much appreciated. So take a look at that. All right. Okay, so he's looking for you to follow him on the Texian app, by the way. Okay. Let's see here. The Texian app /site is a marvel. Who coded this thing? I guess I was lead. I guess I could be considered lead coder, right? Yeah. Okay. Fun stuff. It's still not done. There's some things from a coder's perspective and an app development and a web development perspective. There are some things I am not happy with, but I'm getting to them, right? Minimum viable product, and then prioritize what's left. So anyway, but thank you for that. That's actually very encouraging. All right. Let's see what we got here. I have been very heavy over here on the chat, so let me go to email. Sam asks, he says, one, will we need new QR codes? Yes. The QR codes are on the feature map. For those who don't know, Sam's asking about every supporter gets a referral code and a QR code. And actually on the web app right now, if you go to the web app and you go to settings, there's actually your settings, you will see the screen with your share link on it, right? And it will have analytics for people that have utilized your sign up codes and things of that nature. We will be adding a QR code to that. But I will tell you that very likely when you realize what you can do with share cards and your sign up links with texting and airdropping, I suspect you are probably going to be using your QR codes a lot less. But yes, they will be available, but they are not yet. Second question. Connecting with other members only lists 4 or 5 names, and another name doesn't appear until you connect with one. Is there a way to access more names so we can connect with those people we know right away? Yeah, actually there is. And you will find that when you go to the, I would say start with the community screen and look at your county, your HD, your SD, your various groups. But the one, and I can talk about it on the web app and we can talk about it on the mobile app. I would prefer to do that later, but you have the ability to connect this with your contacts and have it match your contacts to your people in here, right? So it'll let you know those sorts of things. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to make that happen. Additionally, you can go to Explore and you can search. Right. So when you go there, you'll see what's trending, but also you will be able to search for people by, information that, so you have the ability to do that and find them on the platform. So there are definitely ways that you can make that happen. However, we've had to, walk a fine line here because we do want to maintain the privacy of the people that are on the platform. And so we've come up with some creative ways that you can connect with people without, exposing people's data. This is a very data secure site. So keep that in mind. But anyway, he says, thanks. Love the platform. Thank you very much, Sam. Kind comments and much appreciated. Let's see, via email. D. Carson says, thanks. This is a big deal. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Feels like there's one. Oh, there it is. In the email. Weird. There it is. Terry says, Big Dan, you've achieved something truly immortal. The children of an independent Texas will one day look back and see you standing shoulder to shoulder with the heroes of the Alamo. I'm in profound, grateful admiration of what you're doing. Those words are very kind and much appreciated. Look, it's infrastructure, right? And if it helps us speed our path toward Texas independence, then let's get it. Let's go, right? But thank you very much. It's very kind words, sir. Okay. Wow. Here we go. There's one we got to add to the election report, everybody. Manny, thank you for your super chat. Says, continue the fight. I won my precinct chair 65-2. We are already winning. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat, Manny, and we'll get your win added to the list. It was one that we were not. There were a lot of races for precinct chair, sort of that kind of thing that we were not able to get confirmed even a day after the election. And so we'll get you added to there and give our best to Debbie as well. We're praying for you guys, and thank you guys so much for your support. All right. Let's see here. Lee. All right, Lee. Thank you for your super chat. He says Abilene Gun Show Saturday through Sunday, 10 to 4, right? That's not CB radio talk. So 10-4. So 10, I'm guessing 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Abilene Convention Center. Yes, and I am guessing that Lee will be there for the purpose of promoting Texas independence. And if you're in the Abilene area and looking to show your support, go find Lee at the Abilene Gun Show on Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4, and he'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction. Thank you, sir. Excuse me. All right. Let's get over here and see what we've got. Comments, questions. See, nobody's posting the questions over here. We'll work on that, though. Yep. Okay, fun. Connie says this new tool is absolutely exquisite, amazing, and not as confusing as previous tools. Thank you. Because that was part of the problem, right? They were so confusing. And look, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot that's going on in here. But once you understand the lay of the land, and once you kind of understand, we try to keep things grouped together, things that overlap. We've tried to make them where you can get between them easily. There will be some things we will shave off the rough edges as we continue on. But the easiest way to make that happen is for you guys to use it and give feedback on it. Right. So thank you for that. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay. Ralph says Timothy Mabry made the following post to X yesterday. Quote, the state of Texas has fallen to corruption. Now's the time for the Republic of Texas to rise. Watch closely for updates as we take back our great republic. Unquote. Do you have any idea as to what he is referring to? I do not, Ralph. I have no idea. None. I got nothing. I got a whole bucket full of nothing on that one. So, Okay. Dan, you'll be speaking at the Abbeville Institute event in Montgomery, Alabama in 2 weeks. McClanahan has the capability to show the Texian app to the whole audience. Show it. That's up to Brian. For those of you who don't know, it's on the calendar. I'm going to be speaking at a conference in Montgomery, Alabama in a couple of weeks. I can't call the dates exactly, but it's in a couple of weeks. It's on the TNM calendar, and going to be speaking at an event examining the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and decentralization. We're going to be talking about that. And so I'm going to be there with a lot of academics as a practitioner, talking about what it's like to put those principles enshrined in that Declaration of Independence of the 13 colonies from Great Britain. I'm going to be talking about what it's like to put those principles into practice in the 21st century. And so it's going to be, I got an hour, and I think I'm headlining. I think I'm headlining Friday night. maybe. I can't remember what the schedule is. But anyway, it's going to be phenomenal and definitely looking forward to it. So check that conference out. All the details are on the TNM calendar at tnm.me. All right. Let's see. Mr. Durbin says, when will the new app be on the App Store, Google Play? I covered that one already. Currently on the Apple App Store, right? The first version of it with an update behind it. And I think 9:30 in the morning, 9 or 9:30 in the morning is when we're going to be released to actually submit the app to the Google Play Store. And because we're doing it as an update to the TNM Social, it should go pretty quickly, but I can't guarantee because I'm going to tell you what, these guys are, they're as slow. They're so slow. I can't even begin to tell you how slow. Anyway, so, we're working it out. Okay, let's see. We covered the QR code. Okay. All right. Joshua Allen Sims says, is there a way to get a podcast or some sort of media out there with this message going along with news, media, and such? Yeah, absolutely. Look, one of the prerequisites, so many of you may remember that right around the first of the year, I talked about these two things, right? I talked about, hang on, let me clear that off the screen. I talked about the Texas First podcast, right? Which is the Texas News podcast is going to go away and the Texas First podcast is going to replace it. And then I talked about the Texian talks, right? Now, the challenge with that has been, it really hasn't been a challenge, right? It's just you have to take things in the order in which they come. Right now, the Texas News podcast is distributed on YouTube, which when we put it out there, it gets buried. Like our people don't see it, even when they're subscribed to it. We put the audio version on Spotify, which takes it to Apple Podcasts. It's sort of the same thing. People have a hard time that want to access our content accessing. They can't get to it when they want to get to it. They don't get notified when it goes up. I mean, it's nothing. It's basically all the same complaints that we hear about everything else that we do, related to being able to communicate with our folks. And so one of the things that really pushed the work on this was understanding that this was needed to be not just a place where Texians could congregate and organize some, and all those organizations, but it needed to be a place where our communication could reside, right? And that's whether it's videos that we do, live streams. I don't know if you guys have been over there to take a look at it. Hang on, let me just throw this on the screen so you can see it. Let's see here. Yeah. If I go to media, right over here on the desktop app, and there's the live stream that's going on, but we started putting, here's our library, right? Here's part of the first 3 segments of the Texas Blueprint. The rest of them go up tonight. That we already posted this month at the TNM from Will Casey right here. And I mean, this is how it works, right? So we're able to essentially host our own content, stream our own content. It's all sortable, all searchable. Notifications go out. Many of you may have gotten the notification for this tonight, right? But it's just, it was one of those situations where for us to, and again, to your point, I'm not missing your point here. We already have plenty of communication, plenty of content. We want more. We're going to do more. But, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of effort to get these things done. And it becomes harder and harder and harder to justify the expense of the time and the resources if the message can't get to the people it needs to. Now, I'm going to say this. Just because we have Texian doesn't mean that we're going to not be at least maintain a presence on all the majors: Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble. This is not a replacement for that, right? But what this is the place where you and the TNM and everybody in the TNM can go to, and without interference, without concern for Silicon Valley, wokeism, wanting to shut you down and not let you communicate, not letting you connect, this is where you can do it. You want to work and help make Texas independent, and you want to talk about the things that go around, this is the place. You want content focused on a Texas perspective, or the perspective of a Texian, this is where you go, right? You want to be able to organize and share and do this is where you go. And so, to your point, those things already exist. The podcast and all those other things. If you haven't seen our news outlet, right? We have our own news website, texianpartisan.com. Are you sensing a theme here that maybe this was something that's been in our thoughts for quite some time? But it's all there. And so we are creating an entire infrastructure, an entire ecosystem that is dedicated to one purpose and one purpose alone. And that is accelerating the push toward a self-governing independent nation of Texas. I mean, wait till you see what's getting ready to happen with what was formerly just the business directory, right? All of you people that registered your businesses on there, think about what that could do right here on the Texian app, right? I mean, there's so much, and it's all coming together, and you're all a part of it. Because here's the thing, we could build all the tools in the world, right? This thing could have all the bells and whistles in the world. We could build tool after tool after tool, but if you don't use it, then, it's just kind of there. This is not self-creating, self-using. This is not a sentient program that's just going to deliver you to independence. It's going to help you. It's going to help you help make it happen. It's going to make it easier for you to help make it happen. So if you're a Texian, right, us people that are committed 100,000% to seeing Texas independence, this is your home now. This is your home. And so welcome home. All right. Man, the questions keep coming. Let's see what we got over here. I have to keep checking from place to place. Carl says, I don't see the Alamo Memorial March listed on the events page. That's because it hasn't been migrated over, but it will be. So there you go. Okay. Man, a lot of people talking about. Okay, so let me just do this. It's time we get over here and have a conversation about this, because this is going to knock out a lot of different questions that we have had. All right, so the Texian partisan, yes. So you guys may have noticed, obviously, there's a couple of things that are super important on here that I think we need to talk about. One is that we actually, and I don't want to dive off into this because too much, because I saw a couple of people talking about it in chat on the Texian app. But there is a very strong undercurrent. Now, I'm just going to say this. We have talked about election integrity for a very long time. Hang on, this is bugging me. We've talked about election integrity for quite some time. And the reason for it is quite simple, right? The reason is that we absolutely have to have secure elections. If we're going to push independence to a referendum, we have to be very confident in the integrity of those elections. And when we first started talking about election integrity so many years ago, we were called alarmists, conspiracy theorists, blah, blah, blah. And then, the 2020 thing happened. And then, it's just, and then suddenly everybody's talking about it, but a lot of people talking about a lot of different weird things. And Then 2022 came around, which was the election I ran in for lieutenant governor. And there were weird irregularities there. We pointed back to irregularities going back to 2012, perhaps even farther. Well, as the onion continues to be peeled back, and people are beginning to realize that there are very clever and crafty ways that things could be going really weird in these elections. Suddenly, we're not crazy conspiracy theorists anymore. And in fact, there are two articles on the Texian Partisan I'm going to draw your attention to that I'd like for you to go read. I don't have time to go over them tonight because I want to talk about the elections. Excuse me. But one here is, and obviously it's trending, right? Hidden in plain sight, the algorithm buried in Harris County's voter rolls. That is a very critical article for you guys to read. Additionally, let me get down here to the other one. That's TNF News. Hang on. I'll find it. I know it's on here. Anyway, if you go look at the recent articles, I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me hunt for it, but it is here. And it is, let's see if it's political. Yeah, not here. Huh. Interesting. Well, bottom line is it is on here. You will see it. I just can't. Oh, there it was. It was the Bexar County one. Anyway, news coming out of Bexar County. There's a lot. You'll read those two articles, this one and the one about Bexar County, and you're going to get up to speed and understand that we will be doing some additional digging on this. In fact, one of the people running point in Bexar County is Weston Martinez, who was a candidate for CD 21, Chip Roy's old seat, but is a Texas First Pledge signer, and we've had him on talking before about election integrity. They are finding some pretty amazing things that make you go, and then the Harris County one is pretty exceptional too. And I'm curious as to how much those results would be shown in other counties throughout the state. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Read those. But this is what I want to talk about tonight for the remainder of time, which is the results of the primaries. So I'm going to tell you guys. Here was the takeaway. Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see it a little bit better on your screen. Yeah, hopefully you can see that much better. But here was the takeaway, right? So the day after the election, we did an analysis on the results of the various races, their impact on Texas First Pledge signers, hence my comment to Manny Chapa earlier about not having his race. And there was one takeaway, oddly, that was not in that report. So we generated this report. It's been circulated among leadership, kind of gives us guidance on how to handle the Texas First Pledge and some key takeaways from the election. But there was one stat that was not in that report, and I got curious about it, and I went and ran it. And essentially, the thing I wanted to know was how many Texans cast their vote for a Texas First Pledge signer. Now, without getting down to having to grab precinct voting data, precinct by precinct in every county, there is no way to get an exact count on that. It just there's not an easy and quick way to do that, and it's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze. But given that you can take and you can overlap and you can do extrapolation based off of various districts and the voting patterns and things like that, you can extrapolate a range. We know that the floor is about 1.1 million because that's how many votes were cast for Don Huffines for comptroller, who is a Texas First Pledge signer. And we know that the high end of that could be as much as about 2 million. So when you factor all of those things in, 1.6 million is sort of the more to the conservative end of the projection. And definitely probably a little bit low ball from what it actually was, but it was a stunning count for us, because if you recall, we've been told all along, I mean, the establishment loves to say it, if you sign that pledge, that's your political death warrant. Our legislative bench held. We swapped out one statewide for another statewide. We got a Texas First pledge signer headed to Congress because Dan Crenshaw is ding dong gone. He's out. And we went 8 for 8 on county chairs for the GOP. I mean, it's just a lot of really interesting results. And great. There are some people that Texas First pledge signers, we would have loved to have seen win. I mean, absolutely. But all in all, this is the big takeaway. And, without digging off into every single solitary race and the result, this is the thing that I want you to take away, is that understand when they tell you, well, technically 2 things, because there's something else in here that's important too. There are 2 things that I want you to take away from this. Number 1 is that number. When they tell you that no one believes in Texas independence, and they tell you that it's political suicide, and any of you that feel ashamed or embarrassed or a little bashful about talking about it with folks, just because you might occasionally get a weird look from somebody, I want you to remember this number, is that every single one of those people that ran that were Texas First pledge signers publicly put their name on a piece of paper stating that technically digitally, that they would put Texas and Texans first. And that meant supporting the right of the people to vote on the independence of Texas, to have a referendum on the issue. Nothing radical about that. But the establishment would have you believe that that's one of the most radical things known to man. And yet, with that sort of attitude, and we know they had that attitude because they flooded one particular consultant who was consulting for multiple candidates, flooded some of our candidate races with mailers about the pledge signature. Yet again, he leaned into the folly of previous election cycles where it was proven to be a non-issue. In fact, it drove people to the polls to vote for the pledge signer. I mean, honestly, if I was any of those candidates, I would go and ask how much they spent on the mailer so I could report it as an in-kind contribution, because we know it drove votes. But understand that all of those people publicly signed that pledge. The opposition completely blew it up that they signed the pledge. And yet understand that out of about 2 million votes, it was just slightly over 2 million votes in the Republican primary, 1.6 million of them voted for a Texas First pledge signer. About 3 out of 4 voted for a Texas First pledge signer. I mean, you want to talk about an Overton window shift or jerking the stigma out of this thing, there's your number right there. And the other thing, the second takeaway is this. Let's find it here, State House. Here we go. It's a political consulting firm. Talks about, we know of 2 specific races where those mailers were sent, right? Catalyst Advisors Group, a political consulting firm, handled campaigns for both Trent Ashby in the SD3 Senate race and Lisa McIntyre in the HD64 House race. That was going up against Andy Hopper. In both cases, Catalyst produced ads and mailers attacking the opposing pledge signers. So attacking Andy Hopper and attacking Rhonda Ward, okay? Specifically for signing the Texas First pledge. And honestly, if I wasn't tethered to this cable, I would show you one of the mailers on screen right now. But anyway, Hopper won his race 70% to 30%, like a 40-point blowout against Lisa McIntyre, whose biggest claim to fame ahead of that was getting a couple $100,000 from a real estate PAC and seriously crapping the bed at the one and only debate that she had with Andy Hopper, right? And anecdotally, here's one. A McIntyre campaign volunteer approached a voter outside a polling location and asked for his support. The voter refused, telling her it was specifically because of the mailer attacking Hopper on independence. Then he went up to Hopper and told him, I voted for you last time, but I realized when your opponent went after you on secession that she was a total rhino and we need to secede. He absolutely decimated her. And while the race between Rhonda Ward and Trent Ashby, it would have been nice for it to go the other way. The fact of the matter is that Ashby's consultant, who I think the sum total that he's paid to him is in excess of $2 million. Okay. All of that money that was spent on those mailers probably drove voters to go vote for Rhonda that otherwise would not have known that she actually puts Texas first. So, very, very interesting article. And I would encourage every single one of you, when you get an opportunity, go read it. Okay. Let's do this. Jason says, how do I get active? I'm going to, theme of the show, I'm going to tell you where to start. Go here. Go right there. texian.app. That's going to be your first stop. Go sign up at texian.app and you will be able to get dug in and get active and connect with the people that can help you get active and get the tools. But definitely go on there, jam your hand in the air and make your first post. I want to get active. And I guarantee folks will be there to help you make it a reality. Okay, folks, that is going to be it. I have got about 3 minutes to wrap this bad boy up. So let me just go ahead and say this. I know I spent about half of this talking about the Texian app launch. You're going to hear me talk about it ad nauseum. So if you want me to stop talking about it, then go sign up for it. And then I won't talk about it so much because it'll just be a thing. And when something is a thing and you just talk about it all the time, then it gets kind of boring, right? So go make it a thing. And you go make it a thing and then make it wildly successful and make it the tool that we've always wanted. This weapon in your hands to go out there and make Texas independence a reality. Some people are going to be like, hey, you're making this way bigger deal than it is. I'm not. Otherwise, look, under normal circumstances, I would defer to humility and say, you're right. It's just code. But that's not what this is. This is the thing that gets us to the thing. And that's the important thing, right? So with that, my friends, it is time to call this bad boy, call a wrap on this bad boy. I've already shown you this. You're sick of it. I understand. Go get your swag over at texianstore.com. Lots of really cool things over there. And of course, all the proceeds from texianstore.com go to support the work of the TNM. And we definitely need all the support we can get. Additionally, you saw me highlighted earlier, texianpartisan.com, our own news site. Go over there, read the articles. You will not be disappointed. For those of you that had kind of straightforward Texit questions tonight that I was unable to get to, I would encourage you to head over to texitnow.org. That's texitnow.org. That is where the largest FAQ of independence-related questions lives. And if you've got questions, that is a great place to start. Additionally, look, donate.tnm.me. I mean, that really technically just takes you to our donation page, our donation platform. But do it anyway, right? Because we need your support to help keep making this possible. These things, we throw a lot of time at them, but for us to go to that next level, for us to go out there and reach the people we need to reach, we need supporters like you to give of your substance, to participate financially in what we do. And then we just go out there and we win. If you ever doubted the effect that money has on politics, or you ever think, I just don't know if what I can do financially counts, $5, $10, whatever, go talk to one of these candidates in this last cycle that was underfunded and ask them, would $5 have made a difference? Would $10 make a difference? Would whatever it is, it makes a huge difference. This cycle, and I haven't run the numbers yet, but this cycle, I saw more money flying in this cycle than any previous election cycle. Now, I don't have the numbers to confirm that yet, But I suspect when we do run the analytics and we do the numbers on it, what we're going to find is just in obscene amount of money. Now, granted, on any normal election cycle, it's an obscene amount of money, but I think this is going to be like extremely obscene. The amount of money, unbelievable. You just cannot imagine. So it all matters. And it matters to us to help us get the job done. If we're going to build capacity, then we have to do outreach. There's all kinds of things that have to be done. I'm not going to belabor the point, but you understand what I'm saying. Excuse me. All right, friends. That I do believe is a wrap. And so with that, I'd like to thank you for being here for Late Night Coffee Talk, which was obviously more talk than coffee. But just talking to you, it energizes me. We're here together working for the same thing, right? So with that, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave you with the words that I leave you with every time we're together. They're not my words. They're the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now. And the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.